Okay, welcome to another Tuesday night shiur. Let's get into it. Before I start, first of all, which parsha is it? What are we this week? Yitro. Right? Yitro.
It's a good parsha.
They're all good.
This is like...
They're all good. They're all good. No, don't say that. They're all good parshiyos.
10 Commandments.
You know, the Ari said one shouldn't stand for the Aseret Dibrot or stand for Azashim Moshe. Why? Because how can you michalek? How can you differentiate between one and the other?
Why don't you stand for both?
So that's what some people do. They stand up for the whole Kriyat Torah. Yeah.
Wow.
The Gemara says Masach Megillah that they used to stand up. That's why some, if you go to some Ashkenazim, some Nitaim, they stand. They stand up throughout the whole Kriyat Torah, and some don't. Okay. Let's get into it. Before we start Parashat Yitro, does anyone have any questions? Ask your questions now, like this. It should be halak.
Yes, Rabbi. We have a question
From Lakewood. Yeah?
There's a question I got that what's your overall view on how Shadchanim work and how should we deal with not being taken care of as we want it to be?
Oh my god, I hate this question. Back to this subject. Okay, what's the second question?
That was the whole question.
Oh, that's just one question. You said two questions.
It continues with the second
Okay, fine. So you asked the question, repeat the question again.
How does the Rebbe view on how Shadchanim work and how should we deal with not being taken care of?
Okay, fine. So here's the
as
question.
we
How
want
do
it to be?
Shadchanim work? I was never in the Shadchanim world. I'm not gonna lie to you. I never went through this chaos. So how does it work? What is it that you don't like? How about that? Before we start bashing, what is it about the Shadchanis world that you don't like? I honestly want to know. Anyone that is going through it now?
I don't like how robotic it is.
Okay.
I haven't been through it though.
Hey, what's robotic? What's robotic about it? It's a person putting his whole quote-unquote life and how he feels and
On
what
a
he
piece
wants.
of paper.
Excuse me. Excuse me, on a piece of paper with a picture or without a picture, and gives it to a person that doesn't know you. That's what really gets on my nerves, but I'm not going to get into that right now. That doesn't know you at all, and based on information that's on the paper or based on how you look, they do the matchmaking, right? First of all, that's very, very bad. And very, very good, and I'll tell you why. It's very good to know.
100 round trip.
It's direct?
Direct.
Take it.
Get it.
It's very, very good. I just booked my ticket to Eretz Yisrael. Okay, there you go. You see that? It's very, very good. Very good to understand.
Should I do it on my card?
No, I'm gonna have to give you mine. And he has to make me a visa. But okay, we'll talk about that after.
He's doing
He
that.
wants to do it now.
Okay, so give me a couple minutes.
Okay, you have to do the road.
Okay. Sorry. We have to understand one thing. When you go out, right, it's logical, it's normal for us to understand that there's a certain pool of people that you want to know, right? You're not going to go, if you don't know how to swim, you're not going to say, I want to go and get my feet wet at an 8 feet pool. You're going to drown, right? So if a person knows what kind of sviva he wants, then that's perfect. Because I know I want a certain kind of person with a certain kind of life hashkafa, and that's really what I want. But the way they do the matchmaking, like it's just a piece of paper and you're like a cattle and it is what it is, that's very wrong. A shadchan, at least, minimum, if you're paying them at the end, this is what you guys should demand from your shadchanim. To at least have a meeting with them, an hour, go out with them one time, to get to know you, to know really what you want and who you're really looking for. Because a piece of paper can say one thing, and who the person actually is,
Different.
it's totally different. That's number one. Number two, a person can lie the whole way. The person can dress a certain way and act a certain way, and really, in reality, it's not who they are, right?
Till you get married.
So, that's where it messed up. The best shadchanim from my experience, are parents and close friends and relatives. Why? Because they know you. They really know who you are. They really know what you're looking for. Unfortunately, we became so smart that we don't want to take our parents' advice. Right? So they'll tell you, oh, she's a good girl. She's a damashnik, how they say, right? She likes the house. She's not over there doing shtuyot. Or the opposite, right? He's a good guy. He's going to care for you. He's not living only for his friends. He's going to put time for you and want to cherish your time and cherish together. Hey, what do we look at those kind of people that they offer us? You don't know what you're looking for. I want something exotic. You're going to go tell this to your parents and think, you're stupid in the head. What exotic? Today she's like this, or tomorrow he's like that. Before you know, you're getting every day a new person with it. You can't live like this, right? So we look for this kind of craziness, and reality is that they're right. Honestly, as you get to mature, you really want to settle down. You want to have a normal family. You realize that whatever they were trying to push all this time was really what you should be looking for, but instead you chose not to. So how do you deal with it? You have to demand from the Shadchanim more. People have to demand from the Shadchanim more. To the extent that they don't get paid, no Shadchan should get paid until after 4 to 5 years after they're married. Why? To make sure they didn't get divorced. Every Av Beit Din shouldn't divorce a couple until they go through major therapy or marriage counseling before. So many of these issues can be resolved if they get professional help. Not just so many. 99, unless she didn't do znut, unless she didn't cheat on you. Yes, she cheating on you. I know if he cheats, it's as bad, but halakhically you don't get divorced for that. But if she cheats on you, that's the only real reason why you have to divorce her. Everything else is just, you just don't know how to be a normal man. Or the opposite, just don't know how to be a normal woman. To know how to what does that mean? Why can't someone live with each other?
Because sometimes the personality clashes.
Personality is something that can be worked on.
No, I'm saying
I understand if you say, listen, when I was younger, I had certain life dreams and life goals, and now as I'm getting older, we started to spread our ways in different things we want to succeed in life. That's something that needs real help, and they need to talk about it. Yeah. But when someone says, listen, I don't know if it's going to work out, you want something different. No, maybe we can still mesh in getting to that thing. You know, I saw something very beautiful. There was a couple in Eretz Yisrael, when they got married, they were not religious. The guy, after he got married, after 7 years of being married, switch. Bing. He said, I want to keep Torah mitzvot. So he started Shabbat. So she said, okay, whatever. No, he's going his way. And it gradually growed. She, mamish, doesn't keep anything besides Tarat HaMishpacha. She respects him. She lets him keep Shabbat. She doesn't cook. She doesn't turn on the lights because of him. But to herself, she continued living. And he's in this state of religiousness and so on and so forth. I don't think this is an ideal marriage, but they worked it out.
Yeah, I know someone personally.
They worked it out. And you telling me two people that have the same ideologies but have a stubbornness in who's being right at home can't work it out? No, it's a fight of ego then. These marriages are not ideal and they 90% don't last. I'm not telling you to look for that. What I'm telling you is, since the system is corrupt, doesn't mean now you have to give up hope. That's what people think. I'm going to give up hope on everything. Why? Because the system is corrupt. Absolutely not. If the system is corrupt, you have to be a gever, you have to be a man and find a way how to find a good person to live with. That's my answer. You got to ask your parents to get involved if you want that. That's the way you can do it. But to sit and wait until a shadchanit, someone told me, he got a loose leaf. Those big 1.5 inch loose leaf of resumes, and he had to pick which girl he wanted to go with. It's like going into a market. Like what? You know, this is what Rav Mutzafi was fighting about in Eretz Yisrael. That we're devaluing Jewish girls. That they should be picked through a picture or through certain minute things. He was very upset. He fought with it. He said, "How come we're belittling our Jewish women? We're lowering their value by looking at them like a piece of meat." The
I
Kedoshim.
wouldn't say piece of meat. I would just say what's the last thing? People don't know certain people, or you're in a community where there's not a lot of girls. You have to,
Yeah, but your initial wanting to meet the person shouldn't only be based on looks. That was his issue.
That's
yeah,
the motivation.
You should be. Yeah,
What?
It's a motivation, though.
You're right. I'm not disagreeing with you. You're right. But at the same time, that shouldn't be the reason. Like, let's say you have a decent looking human being, a decent looking girl. Decent. She's number 7, Bonagid. She's not a number 10, right?
Sounds good.
She's not a number 10. She has other criterias. Why are you not continuing? You know what you're going to say? Because maybe there is better. That maybe is not going to allow you to ever to get married. Until you're going to be 35, 40 and say, oh, I had so many opportunities. But I thought it was always better. Tupo na gol, that's what you are. Crazy, kuku, majnoon. Mental. Or some people say, oh, I have such a bad relationship. Look, me and my wife fight all the time. She's not my soulmate. You know how many times I hear that? She's not my soulmate. I said, what is that supposed to mean? What do you think? If you marry, quote unquote, your soulmate, you don't fight? This is a hocus pocus. You know who says this? People that learn a little bit Kabbalah that have no idea what Kabbalah is about. They assume that if you marry your soulmate, whatever that means, when I can get into that you wouldn't have any problems in your life. The exact opposite. When you marry your soulmate, that's when you have all these struggles in order to grow. The thing is, are you going to let your ego go, or are you going to fight about it? Because she's there to what? To make you better. How can I make you better if life is just all full of dandelions? You know when it becomes dandelions? When you already learn to appreciate what's around you. You appreciate who she is. You appreciate who you are, and so on and so forth. If not, it doesn't happen. It's an illusion that doesn't exist. It's a skaska we tell ourselves. Why? Because society tells us we have to live in the best kind of looking atmosphere. It's nonsense. It's not true. So that is my answer to that question. Does anyone have any other questions regarding any other topic? No? Looks like you're going to rob a bank.
Is there any other system that a person could go through instead of the Shidduchim one?
No. Unless you ask your parents. Unless it depends where you are religiously to find someone yourself. Again, I'm not telling you should or you shouldn't do it. But the reality is, right? I'm going to break it to you. When you go out with your friends and you see someone that's pretty, you'll confront them? Yes or no? Don't answer. The answer is yes, right? You'll do it, or you'll try to find a way to confront her. She should notice you, right? That is not the ideal orthodox way to do it, right? But the mice, at the end of the day, you are men, and as much as I'm going to preach that you shouldn't do it, you're still going to do it. Now, if you end up marrying such a girl, right? It doesn't need to be bad. Doesn't mean you did something wrong. Maybe the approach wasn't proper, but you're still going to marry her. Now, does that mean she's damaged because of that? No. Why do people do that? Why do Shatchanim do that? You know, if you meet someone from outside, she's most probably... No, you're like that. Stop labeling other people because what? You want the money! You want that... How much is it now? 4 grand, 5 grand to do a shidduch? That's what you want? Those people run away from.
Wait, 4 to 5 grand do a shidduch?
Yeah, or one, I don't know, each one has its levels, right?
You're in the wrong business, bro.
You know what I'm talking about? And that's why they set up people like cattle. You with this, yalla, go.
Just for the sake of the check.
Whatever the case is. It's a very dirty business. Rabotai, any other questions? Okay. Rabotai, let's go. I'll let me take my advice. First you find one for yourself, then talk. Okay, shh. We're in Parashat Yitro. No, it's a very good, one of the famous questions they have about this week's parasha. How come a goy had the zechut, had the merit, that a whole parasha was named after him? Notice to have a parasha named after you? It's amazing.
Yeah.
Imagine parasha Aron Moshe.
I wish.
That's amazing. Right? How come Yitro? Now he wasn't. So you're gonna see it's gonna be about kosher, not kosher. That parasha you're saying. Yeah. Well, what's so special? What did he do so special that he had the merit, he had the zechut to have a whole portion of the Torah named after him. You know who he was, first of all? Okay, we're not going to get that. When we get to Balak, we'll worry about Balak, don't worry.
He used to do Avodah Zarah,
Not so
no?
simple. Not so simple.
Rebbe used to sell Avodah Zarah, no?
What?
He used to Avodah Zarah.
He was the headmaster of idol worship. The headmaster. Can you imagine? The headmaster of all other gods and religions. That's who he was. And he decided, this is the Chiddush. The Chiddush is, he knew to admit that he was wrong. You know, this is the problem of humanity. We're too embarrassed of the shame that we might get, so we don't know how to admit the truth. Yitro, on the other hand, he didn't care that he was wrong all of his life. The second he found out that it's the truth, he made sure to make it public. I found the emet. The emet is that Elokim Havaya is God. He is the creator of the universe. That's why Yitro had his zechut. When did he convert? He converted in this week's parasha. He came to Moshe Rabbeinu to the point. Listen to this. To the point when they told Moshe that Yitro was coming, Moshe dropped everything. He said, "How can I not give?" Son-in-laws that don't like their father-in-laws, they don't show appreciation to them. It's a fact. They don't show appreciation. Or they want to show that they're more important than them. It's just the way it goes in the world. Moshe, he heard his father-in-law was coming. He dropped everything. He was ruling. He was in charge of Klal Yisrael. He dropped. He said, "My father-in-law is here. I have to take care of him. I have to take care of him."
Wasn't he a boy?
So what?
Still respect.
So what? What? You shouldn't treat your goyish workers properly? Well, I don't know why we have this idea that if someone's a goy, they're a second-class citizen. Why should they be second-class citizen? You can't treat a goy like a dog. You have to be a light to the nations, the Navi says. What kind of light and what kind of person you're going to be if you're treating the goy like a piece of garbage? Like a piece of garbage. Now that doesn't mean now you have to eat with him and enjoy with him and act like him. But that doesn't mean you have to treat him like a piece of garbage. They were also created in the image of God. Whatever that means. Of course not the way the Christianities think. They were also created that way. For them, the Gemara says, I think Masech Sanhedrin, why did we go out to Galut? What was the purpose of Galut? To make what? Gerim, to make converts. How are you going to make a convert? How? By looking at him and saying, you're nothing, you're second class, you're a garbage, you're a dog. The Gemara only curses, you know who the Gemara curses? This is where the Christians don't understand our Talmud. Ovdei Kochavim, idol worshippers. Not a goy. We believe that goyim have olam haba, not just Gan Eden. Olam haba, resurrection. Why? How come? Because a goy is not just a nothingness. He's not a garbage. He wouldn't exist unless he also had some sense of tselem of elokut, of godliness. But that doesn't mean I have to be like him. The greatest gift a person can see is when a goy looks at you and it says, this is Klal Yisrael, this is the Jewish people. Not like that Kushi, that monkey that knows how to sell swastika t-shirts and making everyone crazy. This guy is retarded, mentally insane, wants attention. He wants attention. Retardation. And it's our fault, we're feeding the fire. Let him sell the swastika, nothing's gonna happen. So you'll see a goy with a swastika. It's not the first time, Habibi. It's not the last time. Who cares? You see, when you see a kid having a fit in the store, you gotta just ignore the kid and walk away. You can't go, oh, mommy loves you. Oh, okay, I'll buy it for you. What are you doing? You're teaching the kid to have a fit all the time to get what he wants. This is that guy. Anytime he has a fit, everyone's giving him attention. Leave him alone. Shilach la'azazel. Leave the guy alone. He's mentally insane. Go, move away. So what was I saying? The goy, the akum, the oved kochavim, that's what the Gemara cursed. What's an akum? Someone that's an idol worshiper. What's an idol worshiper? He does things that are abnormal. Killing kids, believing in things that don't make sense, bowing down to rocks, bowing down to wood, doing things that are not humane and not normal. That's what the Gemara curses. How people can be so foolish and dumb to believe in these things. But a regular goy that drives you on the city bus, that just knows how to say good morning, why should you disrespect him? That's not derech Torah mitzvot. For you to be zoched, that a goy should look at you and say, I want to be a yid because of you, that's the greatest thing. We don't believe in this. Also, slaves, it wasn't like an American slavery. You ever learn the halachot of having a slave from the Rambam? A Jewish slave and a goy slave, you know what kind of respect you had to give them? They were before you. And we look at them like a nothing. We can't do that. That's a chilul Hashem.
But we could own a goy slave, but we can't own a Jew slave.
You could own a Jew slave, of course.
Not until the Yovel.
You own it. What do you mean? You own it.
No.
He just has a time.
But a Jewish slave can't eat from your terumah. Somebody's a Kohen. But a goy slave can.
Oh, why? Because the Jewish slave is not considered part of you. But the goy slave is mamash considered part of you. Why? Because the Jewish slave is just serving the time. But any kid that comes out of that Jewish slave is considered like a goy slave. It's considered your slave. Because the Jew, the way it works in Judaism, we don't have a jail system. What do we have? A rehabilitation system. That means a person steals, a person kills, he goes into another house. He has to learn to adapt new traits. Who is he going to learn the new traits from? From the people that he's living. So imagine, a person would buy a slave, not a guy that comes with a tie, a guy that you know can go into your closet, steal your things, destroy your life, and still we have a responsibility, to take him or her into our house and to show them the right way, to fix them up and to send them back to the real world. That was our jail system.
How come we didn't do that for the goyim?
We don't do it because it doesn't work for the goyim. We can't have slaves. Tell them they're a slave, they think they go crazy overnight. It's called a rehabilitation system. That's what we had. We believed in helping people from the mental mind and from the physical. Not just from the physical. You can't hide people and lock them in bars unless they're really crazy. There's halachot. If someone does things that are disgusting, like molestation and so on and so forth, they don't go free. They get their chopped off and they go to hell. It's simple like that. Understand? So for each thing there is this thing. Okay, let's get back to Yitro. Go ahead.
Why is it mutar to say lashon hara about a goy but not a Jew? Why is that allowed?
Controversial.
Our goyim are saying lashon hara about a goy mutar in all instances. Who knows?
What's mutar again?
Well,
It's not admissible.
What?
I'd say no.
What do you say in the back?
I said permissible. So what's mutar? I said permissible.
No, I'm saying, is saying lashon hara about a goy always permissible?
The way you phrase the question, no.
There's a difference between slander, though.
So your question is not really so black and white. It's very gray. Not in all instances can you just blabber about a goy. There are instances that you can't talk. Right? Even lashon hara about Yehudim, there are instances that you could talk. Right? So again, not everything is black and white. There's a lot of gray in that question. When we talk about lashon hara, which is going to be in the time of Miriam, then you can ask that question smack in the middle of the shiur. Anyone have any other questions?
Yeah.
Oh, you raised your hand? No. What's your question?
We were talking about it. Me?
Go ahead, yeah. Our Moshe's here, it's always funny. Go ahead.
We were talking about Avdei Kufavim, people that serve different
Idols,
things,
yes.
items. Can you put
not Shabbat people.
No, that are not what?
Under
Sorry.
that category, sir?
Chas v'chalila. Chas v'chalila. Asur gamur.
Somebody that's serving something else. besides
Asur
God.
gamur. A guy that is a person that's not keeping Torah mitzvot. It is our duty and responsibility to love him and show him that we love him, that he should want to keep Torah mitzvot. Our problem is we think if they don't keep, we have to excommunicate them. That's just disgusting. You'll never bring a person back if you show him hate. It's funny, these rabbis that you see that preach hell, 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 you ask them how they were Choser B'Tshuva. You know what they're going to tell you? Through love. Ask them their story, their life story. You ask these rabbis that preach only about hell, how you're going to burn and all this stuff, right? If they knew what even they're talking about. And you ask them, how did you start keeping Torah mitzvot? We heard your life story. You were not so from. He's going to say, because I had a guy that cared for me. I had a guy that showed me. And then I got shocked by all the consequences that happened after. He didn't start by someone telling him, especially these are all Israelis, that tell an Israeli, you go to hell, what is he going to tell you? Right? Your mother or something, like leave me alone, right? You're going to tell me that they can't Choser B'Tshuva because of hell? No, they got Choser B'Tshuva because they saw the beauty in the Torah. The beauty in the mitzvot. Kabed et avicha v'et imecha is this week's parasha, right? Without the Torah telling us kabed et avicha v'et imecha, we would not know of this mitzvah. It would not be normal in humanity to respect our parents. It would not. How do I know this? Because there are some countries in the world that don't have this deen of respecting parents. They do whatever they want. The Torah put values to the world. It put humanity in track. It taught humanity how to be human, how to live normally. So the whole world criticizes the revealment of God that made them be able to have a functioning society, not knowing that this would never come to their understanding if not for the Torah. So why do they bash it? Huh? Why do they bash it? Because they don't have the midah of Yitro, learning to admit that they were wrong. They can't handle it. They can't handle the fact, I made a mistake all my life. Second revealment, third, they all, what kind of nonsense is this? God needs to reveal himself different times to different people? Say, my people left me? It doesn't even make sense. If you say God is all-knowing, how are you telling me he left twice or three times? How do you even believe in this? How? Why? Because they believe in their own chara. When someone's swimming and is cracked for so long, he doesn't realize he's swimming in it. He starts to live with it. It's just, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. Oh, demoneh, crazy. Go outside of the garbage. You're going to smell fresh air. People like to deal with the issues that are in hand, then go find and to grow. That's why successful people don't care to have issues. Because they know that in their nature, they're going to overcome it. They're going to achieve. That's the teva we need to have. And that's why Yitro had a parasha in his name. More than that, if we look spiritually, if we go into it, Yitro, his neshama was from Cain. And Moshe was from heaven. I'm going to give to you a little bit. You want some of the juice? I'll give you some juice, right? They were brothers in last Gilgul. There's a pirush that says that Cain was jealous of Hevel. Why? Because Hevel had
A better offering, better.
no. Hevel had two wives. He was born with two sisters, and Hevel was born with two sisters, and Cain was born with one, and he got jealous. How come he has more girls? See what women can do? Destroy humanity. And if they knew their power, what they can do with their power, they can build humanity. I'm not saying it to belittle them. I'm saying the exact opposite. If they would know their own power, if they would really know it, they would change the world.
There's always a counterbalance.
It's unbelievable. If they just knew how powerful they are, men would be on check.
So how do we access that power?
After clogging the toilet, they ask, how do we clean it? Lama ze kacha? Lama? Ay, ay, ay! Tzadeket. One second, we'll get into that.
This is what
We
I
might
mean,
get
Rabbi.
into
That
that.
was the answer to all the.
Shh, now, what was I saying, right? I was saying, oh, so he got jealous. So what was his tikkun? His tikkun, one of his rectification of kind was that he should give his oldest daughter to who? Back to Moshe, which is who? Hevel. So he had to do tshuva. So what did he do? After he married her and he left, what could have Yitro said? Forget him. He doesn't have time for you, Tzipora. Stay here, marry another man. What did he do? He brought his wife and kids to Moshe and said, here's your wife. We always ask ourselves, well, how come our life is like this, our life is like that, because we don't understand that as we live, we're rectifying everything that we ever done. It's amazing. And if it's not me physically, it's someone else that's so connected to me. That's why you have to always love everybody, because you don't know, we know that we're all really one unit. And if we act like one unit, we'll be invincible. The problem is we're not one unit.
Why? But, I mean,
Why?
I feel like we are. We always take care of the other person. You know, we always want to help. We never leave anyone hanging.
You know, I want to tell you something. You know, I was talking to a couple of people today. I'm gonna get to your question. Don't worry. I was talking to a couple of people today about certain things. We're doing Shabbaton and different things that I'm fundraising for personally for different projects that I have. And guy came to me and he said, "How come Bukharians don't give tzedakah?"
What?
Shh. So I looked at him and I said, you should be embarrassed of yourself. I hate when people make fun of our people. Sfaradim, Bukharian, Moroccan. It bothers me. It bothers me to my core. It hurts me. I said, how can you say, you should be disgusted from saying what you're saying. I said, do you know how many young guys are throwing money like water? I was involved in a couple of fundraisers. The guy just picked up a guy. He did a cold call. He said, I need ABC. He wrote him a $15,000 check. Young guy, 23 years old. Not one like that. 10, 15. That's not even including the big ballers that are giving $50,000 checks just like that. I said, and that's what you're saying? I said, the young generation is so pumped. They're giving so much tzedakah. It's amazing. I'm amazed by them. I said, I'm so privileged to be part of these people. And these are not old geezers. These are young guys. The guys that can say, I can invest. No, they're taking out of their pocket and they're saying, here, you want, give, and they're giving. I said to him, you be careful, because once these guys are going to start investing in Eretz Yisrael, you're going to have a new Eretz Yisrael. Because they're not going to build 1 or 2 towers. They're going to build a whole bunch of Trump towers all over, because these guys are crazy. I said, you wait, give it another 5 to 10 years when they're going to take their money, like what the Syrians did, and they're going to start investing in Eretz HaKodesh. Forget about it. You guys will never see such buildings in your life, such complexes. Don't ever feel belittled by other people that put you down or your people down. Ever in your life. You have to fight for them till your last dying breath. Never ever let anyone put you down. It's very important. It's very important, standing to what's right. Because I don't believe it. Kol hakavod for all the youth, for all the young guys, even in their early 40s. Kol hakavod, you're doing what the last generation didn't do. Well, the multi-billionaires that are 90 and 70, they didn't do, the young is doing. You know what? You guys are 10 times more successful than them. They only got their wealth in their 40s and 50s when they immigrated here. You guys in your early 20s, and you're already doing 10 times what they're doing. Kol hakavod, go full force. Take it and give tzedakah. Because every time you give, I promise to you, it's not my words, it's not Torah. Every time you give, even if it's your last penny, know you're going to get double. Know you're going to get double. Don't ever feel bad. You have to feel such a happiness. I have to give. I was amazing. I had a Talmud come to my office today. He was talking to me about something. We were talking about certain things he was doing, yada. He said, Rabbi, what can I help you with? I said, I tell you the truth, I have to go to Eretz Yisrael. I need someone to help me cover certain things, certain flight fares and so on. He's like, tell me how much you need. Young guy! But he started to make a lot of money. I said, what does it make a difference? Give me how much you could. He right away paid for half of it. He didn't even ask questions. He took it out of his pocket, bach. He said, this is for you. He said, you guys saved my life. How can I not repay you? Here.
Wow.
If you need anything else, give me a call. He came to me to ask me for advice. I said, I don't want it. I don't want you to think I'm here just to take your money. He said, how dare you? He said, this is what makes me feel good. I can give back to the people that helped me. That's the way we have to look at it. Not, oh, look at these. Look at these people only asking for tzedakah all their life. Go work! Maybe they're not working is making you successful. How about you think of it that way? That I have the zechut to hustle and to live lavishly because I know that guy that's half 50-50 is praying that one day someone should give him tzedakah. And I'm the guy that's giving it to him. How much we have to cherish the people we give the money to. We don't look at it that way. Because how do we see it? Oh, bedni. Look at this poor schmuck. I have to give him now. The exact opposite. Thank God you exist. Why? Because I can give you. If not for you, you know what I'm going to be? I'm still hustling trying to find a job. Always pray in your tefillah. May God make you a person from the people that give and not from the people that take. It's very important to mention this. Every day, may we always have to give and never need to take.
Amen. Amen.
It's very important, but if we don't pray for it, what is your amen gonna count? You have to pray for it 3 times a day. And I'm telling you, Tzinorei Shefa is gonna fly to you.
So wait, he gives you opportunity. That's what you say. When we pray for this, Hashem gives us opportunity to give.
100%. 100%. He gives it to you. He says, you want it? I'm gonna give it to you. Let me see what you're gonna do with it. Let me see what you're gonna do with it. That's the way we have to think. We have to think positive.
You have to word it right. You have to say, may Hashem give me the ability to donate. And then, meaning, to give to a cause.
You know what someone once told me? Someone once told me, I hope one day to have, and I'm gonna be able to give.
Not be able.
You can't do that. You have to give right away.
So this is
You
what
have to
I
give from
told
the
him.
beginning.
I said, even if you make a day-to-day normal living,
You still won't give
you're never gonna give.
because you're not giving.
You want to know why? Because giving, there is no conditions to it. Giving has to be from your heart, your desire. Even if you give $1, sometimes that can be more than someone giving $100,000. But the problem is how you give it.
With love.
Do you do it because, chai, whatever, Anna, go take it? Or, wow, I wish I had more. Here, today's what Rabbi Akiva tell to his wife, Rachel. When she would pass in the market and she saw that fancy, beautiful head jewelry, they had a jewelry of the whole Yerushalayim as a gold. The woman would wear it over here on the forehead, right? Like an ateret, like a crown. She always looked at it and she wanted it. What did Rabbi Akiva tell her? One day I'm gonna buy it for you. Those were his words. He didn't say, shut your mouth already, you want so much. You're pissing me off already. Can you just be happy with what you have? What kind of woman are you? You're such a nag. Always I want. Give me. How much can I give you? Don't see we're poor. He didn't say that. What did he say? One day, I'm gonna get it for you. They were sleeping. They had nothing. God had to send Eliyahu Navi to just make him feel happy that someone was asking for straw. Straw, what animals eat, that's what he was sleeping on. God sent Eliyahu Navi to knock on Rabbi Akiva's door to ask for straw so he should tell his wife, look, people have it worse than us. That's how down he was. And when he got everything, what did he do? Do you think he started living lavish? He was very wealthy towards the end of his life. Very wealthy. What did he do? You know what he did?
He gave it.
He gave! He said, what do I have left in my life? What am I going to go up with? Okay, I had my enjoyment. I had my cars. I had everything. Good. But what do I have to take there? I'm not taking my car. I'm not taking nothing. What do I have? I only have mitzvot. So, I'm only going to take my own mitzvot. I can take everyone else's mitzvot too. I can take his and his and his. And before you know it, I have a whole army. So what am I going to do? Let me invest back in the people. Why? Because however they do, they get a certain hitlahavut, excitement. It's all on all of our credit. And what happens like this, Kol Yisrael, Aravim, Zah, we become connected. We become one unit. We become one unit by doing this. Why does it say tzedakah tatzil mimavet? Giving charity saves you from death. Why? What's so special about this charity that it saves you from death? Because if you're willing to give a piece of your life, which is your money, because you worked for it, I'm not gonna take your life from you.
What's a gift? No problem.
I'm not taking from
Fine,
you.
it's
Why?
okay.
Because you gave from yourself. If you're willing to give from yourself, I'm not willing for me to take from you. We don't look at it that way. We have to teach our kids. You guys don't have kids yet. We have to teach your kids, when you have kids, every day, someone knocks on the door, here's $5, go give it to the ani. The ani knocks on the door, you always give him. You go to the shul, each of your kids, you give quarters and nickels. Give it to anyone that's asking for tzedakah. Purim comes, don't ask questions. You go to the bank, Purim is coming. I do this every year, and I'm proud. Go to the bank, you take a couple $1,000s, you make it into 2s, you make it into 1s, you make it into 20s, you make it into 50s, even some 100s, you put it in your pocket. Someone comes, you know who to give what. Anyone that asks, you gotta give. It's such a good feeling. I remember starting to do this in the shul, people thought I was mentally ill, insane. Like, what are you doing giving out the money? You yourself living bakoshi, how are you just giving? I said, this is the mitzvah today. How are we gonna be mechanech? How are we gonna raise the next generation to live in our own mistakes? If we're not gonna do that change, how are they gonna learn to change? From hearing a lecture? That's not gonna change anyone. You gotta do the action. You gotta walk the talk, not just talk the talk. You gotta walk it. How? You gotta give. You gotta be wanting to give. Knowing, because when you give, it's really for whose benefit? It's your benefit. Now back to your question.
I've been waiting.
I know, I've been thinking. Now, the question was as follows.
She's still on the.
How can we get this power, right? What I say, if women really knew the koach, the power that they have, how they can change the world and control every man.
I mean, it's not a good thing to give.
What?
Why would involve women controlling men?
You're saying
I'm gonna answer you.
you shouldn't give a secret.
He's screwed.
It's not a secret. Why? Because it's never gonna happen. So I'm gonna explain to you. I'm gonna explain to you. It's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. Because the amount of work it takes for this to happen, they're never gonna do it. I'm gonna give you an example. Famous example. I'm walking on the street. Or anyone walks on the street. So you see someone you like. But you can't. You saw, that's it, you want. And your friends say, listen, she's out of your league. She's not looking for someone like you. She's looking for, something else. What are you gonna do in order for you to get her attention? As a man, you will do whatever it takes. If you really got that hooked eye to that person, you'll do whatever it is. You'll do whatever it is. Whatever, mamish, whatever. Even if you're in the finishing grad, I know people that were finishing grad school, they dropped it because they became bzich. I know men like this.
For what?
For a girl. They found a certain chuka on her, and they wanted that connect. They want to continue living. So what happens? How the koach of a woman, when she picks up her own standards, how a man automatically is going to pick up his standards. If every girl is going to say that I'm going to be shomeret, I'm going to be someone that watches everything that I do, and I want a good guy. I want a guy that's going to really do what's proper, and he's going to treat me right, and he's going to respect me and love me. In order to know that, he also has to learn how to respect people around him, his peers and his parents, because if he's treating them like this, and he loves them, what's going to be with me tomorrow? If he doesn't have standards of shacharit mincha arvit, how do I know he's going to be able to take care of me? If he doesn't have a good work ethic or a learning ethic, how am I going to know he's going to be able to sustain properly for my family and my kids, which is going to be his kids? How am I going to know this? So automatically, what happens to the men? She's not a friar. Habibi, if I want to get married, I got to be on top of the line, I got to be on my game. But if you know that there is a lot of other things you can explore, then what happens? You're gonna get a guy like that too. And whose control was it to begin with? It was your control. It's always your control. The problem is they don't teach this. Or the way they explain it in yeshivot, unfortunately, is if you don't do good, you're gonna go to hell. And everyone gets turned off by that and says, hell with it, I'm anyways going. So So I might as well do whatever I want to do.
If you try.
Giving you shiur live time. He's watching reels. You understand? So how does a person have to be? When a person picks up his standards, automatically his peer also picks up his standards. That's why I always tell my students that if you're getting married, always there's one midah you have to see. There's only one thing. The person still wants to grow. If the person doesn't want to grow, you're wasting your time.
But how do you see that?
You're gonna live
Both
a stagnant kind of life, very dull. But you grew up in a religious family. That means absolutely
Nothing.
I'm telling you out of experience.
100%.
She can grow up in the house of Rav Ovadia. Still could come out someone that you're not gonna want to marry, because it doesn't make a difference where you were raised. It makes a difference how you were raised. Big difference.
I have a question.
Go ahead. What did I put myself in this?
I know.
You said that a girl or a guy needs to know their worth, but what if it ends up being taking advantage? Like,
No. I didn't.
Okay, but
Worth
define
in
what
sense
that
as a human being. What you expect as a human being. That depends on you, how much you value yourself. Now, every man and every girl is going to feel that they're getting taken advantage. Why? Because everyone has an ego and says, everything is for me, really. People only think that I'm doing more or I'm more worthy is because there's really a problem in their self-conscious. That they think they're so special and they're the best, and oh, why is he or she treating me this way? Because that's a you problem. But in reality, a person has to understand it's not about me. What can I do for the other person?
How do we both realize that? How do we do that?
1 second. Okay. You're not going to want to hear the answer to that.
We have to.
Tragedy.
So we need to experience pain?
You need to experience pain together.
What kind of pain?
It's very sad that I'm saying this, but this is the reality. The reality is until a couple doesn't go through something dramatic, please. If you got this tomorrow, focus. A person has to understand that until something tragic doesn't happen together, they'll never be able to actually get to that point of we're really unified. Now, tragedy, God forbid, doesn't mean sick children or sick spouse. That's not what it means. Tragedy can even mean a small argument. But what happens usually by the end of a tragedy, you come to a conclusion that it's not about being right, it's about being safe. If I know I can't vent without you getting upset and breaking things, I'm not in a safe place. And if he feels that he can't vent because she's going to always use it against him, that's not feeling that he is in a safe place. But you have to understand, as a couple, the tragedy has to happen. It needs that. If it doesn't happen, it's not considered a marriage. Now, getting felt that you're getting taken advantage of is a feeling that you have because you think you have some sense of worth. I'll give you an example.
That's what you just
I'm
said.
giving you an example. That you're worth better than the other person.
Okay, so worth what then?
You have a self-dignity, right? But when you say, oh, I'm better than my spouse, that's an ego. That's not already your worth. That means you're worth nothing. That's what I meant. I'll give you an example, right? Everyone's jobs and responsibilities are different, right? I travel a lot. That means when I travel, I have to leave my family, I have to leave my jobs that I have here, and I have to do other things that I'm associated with. Does that mean that I'm putting my spouse down? I'm telling you you're not worth more? Or I'm worth more than you because I have different life experiences that I need to experience, not because I want to, but because this is where God is sending me? No. It means that she understands my husband is a key figure in certain things and he needs to be there. And to me, to play my role, I have to understand that I have to stay and support my kids and make sure they have a home, they have a family. Now, does that mean now I have to neglect her and say, oh, taking care of my kids? No. That means I still have to look up and say, how are you? How are you doing? Can I get you something? Even though you're across the world, you want me to order you an Uber Eats? Are you hungry? Do you need help with shopping? Like, you think you're laughing like this is so childish and stupid, right? But in reality, that's her need. That's what they need. They'll say no 1,000 times. So you'll order it. So you'll waste $20, right? But you're not really wasting. You're investing in something that you don't understand. That she says, wow, he cared for me. It took him 5 seconds. That's all you needed to do. So how come we don't do it?
So good.
Because we're not one yet. I don't understand her because I don't understand her challenges, her struggle.
When it comes to tragedy.
Yes. That's why couples that always, they'll be 50, they're still fighting. What are they fighting about? I want you to look at their arguments. It's always tracking down to the first time they fought when they were younger.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Ahmad, why didn't you take care of it when you were in your 20s? Because you had too much ego. Dafuk! Why didn't you take care of it? You're still fighting about the same thing that you've been fighting for 20 years, but it's just change of a person and place. It's so ridiculous. You look at these people, you're like, you didn't grow up yet. And then they look at you like, oh, you're little, you don't know anything. I'm like, yeah, you're so right. Keep on having the best life. Like, you're an idiot. You're stupid. I'm sorry for my French. You're stupid. You're dumb. Work on your midot. Be a better person. They don't want to. They don't want to. They want to be greater than the other person. Did I answer your question? Yeah? That means you have to work hard. That's the difference. Because when you work hard, you'll achieve. When you work hard, you'll get somewhere. I'm going to finish with this. What's the fourth Aseret HaDibrot? Who knows?
Respect. Shabbat Kodesh.
Shabbat Kodesh. Zechor et Yom HaShabbat lekadesho. Remember. You heard what I just told you? Remember the Shabbat, for I segregated it for you. Hashem said that I made this day for you. Why? Why? The same way how a couple needs to go on vacation and spend time together. Hashem said, if you're going to only be thinking about livelihood all your life, when are you going to have a connection with me? When are you going to stop and close everything and say, it's just between me and God? And what does God already want from us to do on this day? To enjoy. To enjoy. You're looking for every single day of the week, you're looking for a time that you can sit, relax, and enjoy. God's telling you, I'm giving you 24 hours to enjoy. Why are you not taking advantage? Are you Ed? Are you mentally insane? I'm giving it to you! Nah, I'm good. You see how foolish we are? You see how dumb we are? Think about it. We're so dumb. It's amazing how stupid we are. It's so amazing that we have hitlahavut from our stupidity. Hashem wants us to enjoy. So how come we don't enjoy it? Do you want to know why? Because you never experienced an enjoyable Shabbos. Because for you, Shabbos was about the food, about the guests, about the pressure, about being who you're not. It wasn't about me having an enjoyable time, understanding what the day is, me connecting to God, me starting a life, and so on and so forth. That's why I always tell people, especially newlyweds, especially from this community, when you go to your in-laws' house, either side, irrelevant, regardless of what you like there, what you see there and you dislike, you have to understand something. You can never judge them. You can only learn, even from your own house, you can only learn how to be better than them. Very important. You don't understand this yet. You'll understand it when you get married. You're getting married very soon.
And what if those values come with from the house that you're in?
That's why you're getting married, to make the values better. If you're gonna go now and say to your husband or the opposite, oh, I'm never going to your parents' house again, their Shabbos is insane, it's insanity, I can't handle it. Everyone's gossiping, everyone's talking, everyone's crapping about each other, and it never ends. Your parents are fighting, or there's a pervert, gives you a whole list. That is called being a child. That means you didn't grow up yet. You have to learn to shut your mouth, to deal with what's in hand, regardless of what you like, but that doesn't mean you have to bring those same values into your own house. That's the difference. So you hear rabbis and rebbitzins, quote-unquote rabbis and rebbitzins say, oh, you can never go to that house. Why didn't cause World War II between the father and his and your husband, or between you and your father or your mother? Why are you guys not coming over? You should make a war out of it? No. Shut your mouth. Learn to explain to each other. We have to learn to respect our in-laws or our parents, no matter what. But that doesn't mean we need to bring the same thing into our own house. And you're not doing it out of criticism, but you're doing it out of growth. And in-laws, unfortunately, we don't know this, but I have to say this. We live in America, we don't live in Uzbekistan. What does that mean? Your son-in-law and your daughter-in-law is not your son and is not your daughter. Get it through your head already. They're your son-in-law and they're your daughter-in-law. They will not understand and they will not accept your craziness. They will always judge it and make fun of it. If you have certain things that you want to be hidden, or you want to be or just between the family, keep your laundry inside the house. Your son-in-law and daughter-in-law doesn't need to know the gossip of the house. They don't need to know it. It's none of their business. It's not. It's a big mistake they do in this country. That's one thing they make a mistake, a very big mistake. Suddenly the son-in-law becomes the son and he knows all the bad things and all the shtuyot, or the daughter-in-law becomes the daughter, and they start having a lesson, like she becomes a therapist. You know, when I was younger, when I got married, he did this to me. Whoa, are you stupid? Are you retarded? What are you telling your newlywed son-in-law and daughter-in-law? Why do you need to know what you went through? You need to go to a therapist. Go to a therapist! Your son-in-law and daughter-in-law, especially if they're newlyweds, what do they know about life? You're traumatizing them already. What's wrong with you? And then they come and say, oh, Rabbi, you did this to yourself. You did this to yourself. Be a mensch. No boundaries. Boundaries is healthy. It's good. It's very good. But we live in a primitive culture, which is breaking, that a son and a daughter has to be a slave. It's a big difference. There's something called slaves and something called children. It's two different things. You have to understand that. That's a topic on another day. I don't want to get into that right now. What's your question before we finish?
It might be a long answer.
It's okay. We have all day.
You mentioned many times the couple is getting married and they don't understand, and that the problems start from whatever it is, ego. We bring up several examples. And it all stems down to the fact, I think, first of all, the Torah says to get married early, and the Zohar mentions that after 20 years old, whatever it says. So why do teachers push couples getting married early when that is the main destruction, that they're immature, they're not experienced, how can they get
So
married?
every school of thought does it for different reasons. But we do know the Gemara, Masech Kiddushin, that says as follows. With the Rambam Paschal's Halakha, that if a person wants to be mashkia in limudo, he wants to learn Torah, let him learn as much as he can. Why? Because once he gets married, he's going to be osak b'tzarchav. He's going to be too busy with work. He has to mefarnes the family. He needs to work. He needs. So they push it as much as possible. That's what. Number two. Unfortunately, the maturity level of guys and girls is very much different than the maturity level of even 100 years ago. or 50 years ago.
They were
Now I'm
much
gonna explain to
more
you.
like that.
No, it's not that they were more mature. It's wrong. Not true. They were less exposed.
Okay.
Back in the day, most of the reason of marriage is the reason now. Why? Because you want to run away from something. Right? We want to run away from the dishes and the laundry and the father and mother getting on our nerves and da. So we want to run away. So we get married. Well, what's the difference? This is where maturity comes into. The girls or the guys back in the day knew this is life. I have to deal with what's in hand and shut my mouth and live with it, regardless if I like it or I don't like it. Nowadays, if you don't like something, suddenly the whole world got to know about it. What kind of nonsense is this? So what do you think? I can do whatever I want. I don't like him. I don't like her. So they feel a sense I can start telling the whole world our dirty laundry. That's the only difference. There was less of an exposure.
Exposure and acceptance. Accepting.
Correct, because if you don't know, then you're good to go. That's why the old grandmas, what do they say? While her eyes are closed, get her married. There's a saying like that in Bukhari. While her eyes are closed, get her married. Why? Because once her eyes will open, she'll not gonna want to get married. Why? What's the pidgam coming from? As long as she's still like full of responsibilities, she doesn't mind to go from her one responsibility to another responsibility. But once she starts to feel a sense of freedom, she'll start to say, life's good. I can live for myself. I don't need to live for a man and for my kids. Who's going to live for me? So here's the catch. Here's the kunz. If she marries someone that's a bardat, that has a brain, automatically with all of her responsibilities, she knows it's not a responsibility. Why? Because it's me and him against the world. But if she feels that she's getting married and it's just me against the world plus him, another headache, then of course, why should she want it? But if you know how to navigate properly your life, she'll never feel that way. She'll feel, wow, I have the best partner in the world. Right? Someone sent me a video of an old Russian man drinking alcohol, and his wife comes and starts to scream. Why are you always drinking? Why are you always drinking? And she gets so fed up, she takes a cup, she puts it in front of him, and she pours the whole cup of alcohol. And it's an old cup, and she drinks the whole thing in one shot. And he's there looking at her, and he said, wow, I'm such a fool. All my life I'm looking for a partner, and look, I have a partner all my life. And I never one time went out with you. What's the point of this mashal? Because the greatest friend and partner you can ever have is your spouse. Oh, they don't like to do certain uncomfortability things, or you think you can't hang out with them. So you have to learn how to expose them to those experiences properly. I'm talking about just hanging out, enjoying each other's company. To enjoy each other's company is a big thing. I never understood when couples go on vacation, they gotta take all the kids and the whole mishpacha. It's not a vacation, it's a relocation. So I asked my wife one time, I said, why do women do this? She said, I don't know. She came to me the other day, she's like, I know why. I asked a couple women, why? Because they don't enjoy their spouse's company so much, they rather take their kids as well. So at least they're gonna enjoy their company with their spouse. I never understood this. You go on vacation, you wanna go with your wife or your spouse, you wanna get away, you wanna just, spend time. What's with the kids and the grandkids and the whole entourage? Why you need that? For what? It's not a vacation, it's a relocation. Instead of having the headache in New York, you have the headache, in Florida. But you also have to pay for all the expenses as well. So the worst investment in the world. So people are just unhappy with who they are. For what? Why you gotta be unhappy? Change yourself. Make that person into the best person you married. Now this information I'm telling you, I'm gonna be honest with you. Anyone can achieve it. But most people don't want to do the work. Since most people don't want to do the work, what happens? They never have it. So they just in misery. If you do the work, you're not going to need to be in that misery. But here's the problem. We give up too fast on ourselves.
Can you define what is work?
Work means working on your characteristic traits. Learning it's not about you, it's about us. Sometimes it's not about what I want. Sometimes I have to put his needs first. What does he want? That's what work is. An exact opposite. Most men are puppies. You just have to know how to pet them and feed them.
Chill.
It's true. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know why you feel weak in that. Don't worry, you're big enough. If you want one smack, they'll fly, right? But that's not the point. The point is for them to understand you don't need to work too hard. Women think that men are too complicated. We're very simple people. You know how to pet us, you know how to feed us, we're good to go. We'll do whatever you ask. But when you're gonna come and pet us and pull our hair while you're petting us, then we'll bite. That's just the reality in life. Or no one is gonna say it this way, this analogy. Why? Because oh my God, I think politically correct all the time. But I don't care about being politically correct. I care about the message going through the brain. And the message is be a human. Treat your spouse or your future spouse like a human. He doesn't treat you like a human? Okay, you have to bring it up. I bring it up 1,000 times, 1,001 times, bring it up, 1,002 times. It doesn't make a difference. Bring it up as long as you need to bring it up. Eventually, it's gonna kick in.
So my question is, what about like, obviously not, I don't say it's in our generation as much, but what about like the old Bukharian couples who the men like expects it, like pet me, feed me, do whatever I want you to do, and that's just how it's gonna be.
So why are you asking about that? Those people are 90%
Because
how do you say?
Extinct.
Extinct.
No,
They're done.
Even though
Finito.
it's not our generation, it is still what we see to some extent. From
No,
either our
these are
parents
still
or
people who need
grandparents or
help, you
whatever.
know?
No, we can't help them.
No?
We can't help them. Can I tell you why we can't help them?
Why?
Because they don't want change.
How do you get them to want
No,
change?
that they need to want themselves.
So there's
You know how a parent will want change? First of all, it's not your responsibility to change your parents. I want you to know that. It's not even you don't even have the right to ever tell them anything. But the only way your parents will know that either they did wrong or they did right, whatever it is if they see their kids happy in their marriage. When a parent sees that they're happy, they don't understand how come they're always happy. There's two ways. It either eats the parent alive, or it makes them extremely satisfied. To which parents does it mean it makes them satisfied? To the ones that have a happy marriage. To the ones that don't have a happy marriage, they have a sense of jealousy to their kids. How come their marriage is so good? It's scary.
What do you do?
But it's nothing. You live your life.
Right? So you gotta just wish. That jealousy could be bad.
No. It's not your problem. You see, this is our problem.
That's me.
No, we don't care.
Okay.
If anyone has jealousy about your relationship, I'm not joking with you.
Okay.
My Rebbe even told me this. Man, you care? You don't care. Why should you allow yourself to let them live in your brain rent-free? They're thinking about you? Good for them. I'm so special. Thank you very much. But you should care? No. I'm doing Ratzon Hashem. My Ratzon Hashem is to serve Him. To serve Him to my greatest capability and my greatest obligation. And like this, I'm going to grow a good family and a good life. And I'm going to have a good connection to my spouse. I'm going to have a good Rebbe, and I'm going to follow in their way. Someone that's down to earth. Someone that's normal. Not someone that lives in cloud 9 and only thinks about himself. And like this, you're going to grow into Torah mitzvot. And if you don't have this, you're not going to grow. You're going to be stagnant. You're going to hate your life. That's why, who do you look for what's the one thing the most important things you look for when you're going out? Is she happy in her religious status, or is she always saying, I want more? Because if she says she's happy, there's a big question mark over there. You always have to find someone that says, I want more. I want to grow. I still want to grow. There's still room to grow. There's still room to be a better person. Not on keeping more mitzvot, that also, but having a connection with God.
You can do both, right?
You're correct. But more to the point if someone says, I want to have a connection with God. Not one of those cuckoos that don't want to keep anything, just wants to go, I love God. That's not what I'm talking about.
No, I'm saying.
Someone that wants to have a structural life, go ask.
I've heard before that marriage is not a romance movie. It's a commitment where two people come together to build the world, to build themselves. Can you just elaborate on exactly what that means?
Sure.
Good question.
I'll elaborate it. You asked two parts to the question. Marriage is not Hollywood. Correct? It's not a picnic, it's not a movie, and it's not a show. Your second part of the question is, to my understanding, is explain what does it actually mean then. If not, say the question again.
That was
What is actually marriage? What is it?
what is the responsibility between the two people?
The responsibility in the marriage is what it says in the Ketubah. The man is obligated to feed, dress, and to provide for his wife 100% of her needs. That is the responsibility of a marriage. What does that mean nowadays? That there needs to be a mutual agreement to whatever path that the husband and wife are going to take. Let's say the man wants to sit and learn Torah, and she says, I want to support you. If that was their agreement,
Stick with it.
that's the agreement. If the guy says, I want to go work, and she says, I want you to work and have kivim b'Torah every day, couple hours, so on and so forth, if that was their agreement,
Do it.
that is their agreement. But if a guy says one day, I want to sit and learn Torah, and she says, only for half a year until we need, until this, until, she doesn't really want. What does she want? To live the trend. My friends, all of their husbands are, so I'm also going to do it. That's not a marriage, that's a trend. That's called living in Hollywood. Real marriage means agreement between both parties. And a husband has to be full 100% the provider. Full provider. Unless an agreement was done between them, how it will be done. Does that mean now that a man, until he doesn't have a lot of money, he shouldn't get married? Absolutely wrong. Because we live in a day and age that if both parties don't work, unless he's extremely wealthy and got very lucky in his life.
Why lucky?
Because as much as you work hard, can I be open?
Yeah, be open.
Define
See,
love.
my luck is curious.
Define love.
Because as much as you work hard is not necessarily as much as the guy next to you works hard, yet he has a bigger bank account than someone that works much harder and has a smaller bank account. I'm just giving an example. Correct? So there is a sense of mazal that a person needs to have from Shamayim. No matter what you tell me, there is a sense of, you can open it, but I'm not going to get to that right now, but there's a way to open it. But no matter what you're going to tell me, there are people that work less and make a crazy amount, and people that work much more and they make much less. Does that make you a better or worse person? No! It just, some people have a sense of another mazal on top of it. There's nothing wrong with that. Doesn't make you any less of a person. Just what is, right? Back to you. Wait, he was saying something. A real marriage, real, mamash, real, is me and you against the world. That's what it is. That's what real marriage is. That means, what is me and you against the world? He can't make it, God forbid, this month. Bills are not getting covered. She has the right to say, it's not my problem. You the man. But what is a tzaddik going to do? Honestly, what is a tzaddik going to do? No problem, I got you. Let me help you. Let me figure it out. Okay, we can't be too much spending time together. No problem, I'll watch the kids or I'll do this. Go figure it out. Don't worry about anything. Or let me go to work. Maybe I need to get a job. Maybe it's okay if I'm in college and I also have part-time. That's called teamwork.
So that's the responsibility that they have to each other. What about the responsibility they have to the world? Well, let's say to Hashem. What does that mean?
As a couple, to live a life of Torah mitzvot. But not a life of Torah mitzvot as a robot. They have to bring in a sense of feeling towards the Torah mitzvot. Now, what does that mean? That's when you start learning Torah Hasidut, Torah Ta'ari, Sifrei Musar, when you bring these svarim into your life, you add a neshama to the mitzvot. The neshama is the sense of desire of doing the mitzvot. For a person to reach a level of just keeping Torah mitzvot because God wants me and he feels so excited for that, that's a very high madriga. That's what we all should achieve eventually. But in order to get there, we need to first break down the level how and why I do what I do. And that's why we have the Gilui of Rabbeinu Ari HaKadosh. That's why he's such a important figure in Klal Yisrael. What was your question? Done? Question?
I'm gonna formulate it in a unique way, but as like you said earlier, we're all guys and girls gonna start dating and have a quote unquote, predetermined arrangement to how certain people would like to live their life. Right? Correct? Those that work, those that learn.
Whatever it is, yes.
For the most part, learn. Would during the course of the marriage, changing from working more to learning more be considered changing the agreement or growth?
That's something that both of you need to discuss. You see,
as much as
a very big factor in being someone that gives advice. Every case is different. So what I'm gonna answer you is fit for you, right? That is a conversation that a husband and wife has to have together. If the man is starting to grow in his business and so on and so forth, whatever it is, and he tells his wife, listen, I have more time now to put in my own self-growth. And she agrees to it. And she says, okay. That's an agreement that both of you have, and you can pursue that. But if she says, no, I want you to make even more money, invest more time, do more, that's something that both of you need to discuss and then go to a Rav to be in between you to analyze what's the right thing and what's the wrong thing.
They have to be on the same page at all times.
At all times. At all times. Regardless if you like it or she likes it. If there's an agreement done, it has to be done between both of you.
And what if you go to a rabbi and one of them still doesn't like the answer is not fulfilled by...
So then that person is a liar.
What do you mean
Damn.
a liar?
Because you can't go and ask advice from someone that you truly respect. That's why you're asking him and say, oh, I didn't like his advice, so I'm not going to do it.
No, but it's not necessarily that you didn't like it. You're just, like, for example, you said if somebody, is working and then they decide they want to learn and then they want to go and ask the rabbi, obviously the rabbi's going to say you're making enough money, go learn.
Not necessarily. Who said? This is the problem. That's not necessarily true.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you from my own experience. Not from me, but from people I had. Some people are not meant to learn all day.
Why would you say that? What are those kind of
Because some people need to hustle. For a person that's a working person all day, goes straight to learning all day, he becomes very depressed. You know that? Because he's used to a total different mindset. It's not true. What you're saying now is not true. You're saying that because you assume all rabbis under the same category of, yeah, okay, you have money, go learn. No, not necessarily. Maybe he can do that. Maybe he should start opening up a chesed fund. Maybe he should involve his wife in that. Maybe they can work on that together. Maybe it's going to provide them to work together and maybe grow together. You see, you don't think about it that way because we assume that all the rabbis or people that give advice just want to do good for themselves. Not necessarily.
Okay, but that's not what I'm trying to ask is like what if there's other reasons like
So that's where you confront the rabbi and you say, the other reasons are A, B, C, and D.
and then what if
Well, it depends by the case. You want to go on a specific case?
no
So I'm telling you.
no, but what if one person is just not satisfied? They're like, I heard it, but I don't think the guy's
So that person has to work on his or her midot. Why? Because you're not here to compromise then, you're here just to win. If you're here just to win, you're wasting everyone's time. Not you specifically.
Okay.
But
it's
until
not
you don't have a
about
vow-
winning, it's just about being satisfied. Like if somebody's not actually like understood with that response and they don't sit with them,
so because you think it's not going your way, you're not getting understood.
doesn't mean that's just
Yeah.
because it's not going that.
So then why else would you think you're not understood?
Because let's say the person doesn't understand the reason behind
You
it.
know,
or is
no.
not
He
doing
understands
it.
the reason, or she
Okay,
understands the
fine,
reason,
but it's not
and they
doing
acknowledge it.
that.
They
Okay.
acknowledge it, and you're 100%, so on and so forth. But your acknowledgement and your right for short term. And the guy's telling you, I want you to look at the bigger picture here. Long-term goal. And he explains to you. Or I'll give you an example. You want to put your money in a 401k, right? Example. You want to be secure when you're 80 years old. And the guy is telling you, why would I do that? It's the stupidest thing to do. Well, let me buy a property. It will pick up in value. I can take money out of it. I don't need to pay a huge amount of taxes. And I can continue rolling the ball. And like this, I won't have one house, but I'll have 10 houses by the time I retire. So instead of getting 1.8 or 2 million or 3 million, I'm going to have 10 million right here. And she says, I don't care. This is what I want. Now, do you see how the image is totally different? You see how things have to be explained differently? Maybe the way you're explaining and the way he's explaining it is not met to each other's understanding to begin with.
Right.
So all that needs to be broken down. Now, if you're saying that it's both understood and everything's top notch, but you or he is still stubborn on certain things, you guys have to agree. We're going to this person, and regardless which one of us like it or which one of us don't like it, right? We are gonna agree.
Yeah, the Rav doesn't give the
And
answer.
that's where you have a healthy marriage. Because at the end of the day, you know it's not me and it's not you. There was someone in between that gave us this advice. Now a smart Rav has to know how to make the answer good for both, or explain it properly, and not like do whatever you want. Right? So that's where you go to someone that you know, you can trust, that knows your situation, that you know A, B, C, and D. Now, you're asking this question because you're an overthinker. So you know what you're doing? You're mapping your whole life from now until you're 120 of certain instances that could and might or that will happen or that no one knows about. But you have to stop living that way. Let it go.
You put that on the nail, right?
Hayom harat haolam. Today God created the world. Worry about right now. Don't worry about tomorrow. What if? Who said we're going to even reach to the what ifs? Right now. Appreciate this. We're too worried about tomorrow. We're forgetting about today. Any other questions? We're doing a Shabbaton next Shabbat. Whoever, for male, we don't do men and women together. We don't need any babies coming in. But... Right? Shalom Eda. I'm telling you the way it is. You guys are all in your prime age. I'm not going to hide anything. If you guys want, there was a flyer going around. You press the link, you do the link. Or you WhatsApp me and we take it from there. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.